Okay, now we're back on. Great, now you can hear me. Okay, so what we're doing, this is me editing in Premiere. I guess my video card isn't supporting the video right here, which is weird. I don't know why it's not supporting that. Let me try something. Add screen capture. There we go. That's better. Let's delete that source and resize that. Right, sorry, I thought I had all this taken care of here. I know you're seeing some screenception. That's okay. Alright, so anyways, now that you can hear me, basically what's doing, or what we're doing is we are, instead of releasing an entire segment on, or an entire 32 hour long podcast episode, what we're doing throughout the week is releasing shorter 8 to 10 minute segments. And those 8 to 10 minute segments obviously will be a lot easier to watch than sitting around for half an hour or even an hour. And so Monday through Thursday we do that, and then also on Thursday we release the whole podcast episode as a whole for people who want to watch it like that. And then on Friday we'll be releasing like a bonus feature, like just an extra segment. So today I thought I'd bring you into Premiere with me since not a lot of people know that I edit videos for a living, or for part of my living, I guess, but they have never really seen me do it. So I think it'd just be interesting for people to watch, if nothing else. So just to kind of explain my process here, so I'm using what's called a non-linear editing program, Adobe Premiere, and I really have enjoyed learning to use the Adobe software. I'm not like sponsored by them or anything, but I just thought that I would say that I do really enjoy using them, and it's nice being able to just switch. Like if I need to do something in After Effects for motion graphics, or if I need to edit a picture in Photoshop, it's super easy to be able to utilize all of those elements between programs fairly easily. And it's been a great experience. And right now I'm on the student plan, which they have a reduced price for students for their subscription fee. So anyways, it's been great. I really enjoy it, and I know a lot of other people that really enjoy using the program as well. So just to kind of give you a layout, this is a very specific layout that I've kind of designed for myself. The default Premiere layout is a little bit different in that this window, which has all of my files, is actually down here, and this timeline is scooted over more. These are my viewer windows. This is what's showing me what's in the timeline, and then this window will show me anything that I want to pull up over here. And then I have all my footage. It looks really disorganized right now, but I promise it's fairly organized. I have everything from pre-production, stills, pictures, stuff that happened before actually bringing the footage in. And then I have audio, which is both music and the show, because typically out on either in our podcast or out on a film set or in a TV studio, you record audio separately from the video. So that's why I have to bring that in. And then I have all my graphics, whether they're, let me show you, whether they're just like titles like this that just say copyright, or they're motion graphics like this one that are about Facebook, like that have our Facebook information on it. So a lot of really interesting way. A lot of a lot of editors organize their things differently. I choose to organize it this way because that's the way that works best for me. But like I said, it could be organized a little bit better. And then down here I have videos and stuff that's ready for export, and some things that are also not organized. So don't pay attention to that. So what we used to do, or at least what I used to do, is I would throw the podcast down in this huge timeline that I had created from one of our shows. And it was nice because it had the motion graphics that I had created for social media, as you can see there, for us, the lower thirds. And then it would have our intro, which I just recently changed. And then it would go into the podcast, and we would say, hey, follow us, do that. And so I'd insert that. And then what's cool is I used a title to insert like an overlay hashtag that you see on a lot of like TV shows and stuff like that. So if people want to chat about us, that's a good way to do it, is by using that hashtag. And so it's just something that I learned from broadcasting that I'm trying to reinforce. Hey Chris, such premiere, much creative. Thanks. Yeah. So anyways, we'll get into actually some editing here. Let's get over here. Luckily, all of the audio is, well, it was synced for this segment. And I wish I had an extra camera that I could just dedicate to watching my keyboard as I do all the nice, interesting keyboard shortcuts, because I'm sure that would be fascinating to watch as well. All right, so here I have leftover audio from the rest of our segments, and as I said before, we record audio separately just because it works better that way. So I need to go over here to my files. Let's see, I've done 6217 was the last one. All right, so we're working on the last segment here.
Welcome back to.
Okay, so down here, if I play it for you.
Buzz, the audio.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We were having a discussion to bring you in with it.
Okay, so both of these audios are off from each other because I was wearing a lapel mic, and Mike and Cameron were being mic'd separately. This mic wasn't actually working at the time, so we didn't use that mic. So you have two separate sets of audio plus the original camera's audio that all have to be synced. I have to sync this video to this camera audio. And so that's why in the beginning you saw me use the clapper, because that helps to sync up that audio. So what I usually do is I sync it up to the first bit of the clapper. I don't do it. Some people do it to when the clapper actually, the frame that it meets, the bottom portion of the slate, I guess you'd call it. But I just do it to audio rather than visual confirmation. So here I'm editing, I'm trying to mark in this audio where the clapper starts. Alright, so the first part of the clapper that I hear there, so then I'm going to hit M. It's a keyboard shortcut for marker. Which I'm also pretty sure is why they say marker before they clap, because they are trying to indicate to the editor in post that that's where they're about to clap.
Buzz.
Okay, so I'm going to mute these first two tracks since I've already discovered where the clapper audio is.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So there's the first bit of clapper audio there. And I'll just slide this over so that it matches. And then here in the video, I need to do the exact same thing. And the great thing about whether it's video or audio, as long as you put a marker there, it'll show up when you bring it down here to the timeline. Alright, so I marked it, and I want the video only. So I'll click and drag that down here. And the marker matches up right there. Alright. Okay. So, now that all of that is synced.
Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We were having an off-air.
Okay, so then I just gotta basically do my endpoint here. And I try to do it on a frame that doesn't make us look too silly, but sometimes makes Mike, the middle guy, look silly. I purposely do that. In case he's watching, I hope he knows that I do that for him. But today I'm not going to do that to him, so we'll start here before he opens his mouth. Alright. And what's nice about all this is once I edit each segment, I can just delete any extemporaneous material like these endings that's only for the segment portions, and then I can just clip it all together once I do the giant podcast export.
Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We were having an off-air discussion. Wanted to bring you in with it. We wanted to start talking a little bit more.
So something that I often do when I'm editing a program or editing a show is I'm always monitoring these audio levels, simply just because we need to make sure that you can hear the audio. And when I worked for BYU TV, the FCC regulates that any broadcast audio has to be within a certain decibel range, and that decibel range is -10. Well, normal speech has to be within -10 to -16 dB, with the lowest being -18, and then technically sound in shows can peak as high as -6. So effects and explosions and things can peak as high as -6. So anyways, when I level audio, I'm typically trying to match it to those sets because it's just good to follow something that's already standard out there and just match everything to that. Another thing that's interesting is because I'm being recorded by the lapel mic, when it syncs up with this other audio, these other higher quality mics, it makes it sound really kind of tinny, I guess, or just like we're in a giant room with a lot of echo. Whereas these mics, if you hear it just by themselves, they don't sound like that. They sound more like studio mics. So, let me make sure. Okay. So to make sure my microphone settings.
About movie theater culture, what it's like in the theater, the good things, the bad things, and I'm gonna start us off with.
So I need to find, at least for this bottom part, where I'm gonna start talking. So I'm gonna start editing fast here. For me, it's pretty easy to tell when I start talking, just because of the audio peaks here. They help me to determine where it is that I'm talking, and I can scrub through. Scrub is a term that's basically just like fast forwarding through footage that editors use. It's a terminology that we use. So I'll delete this audio. Well, actually, so here, let's listen to the audio beforehand.
Discussion, wanted to bring you in with it. We wanted to start.
And then I'll delete this, and you'll hear how much better it sounds. Oh, it's because it's muted. Never mind. Let me unmute this. Now.
About movie theater culture. What it's like in the theater, the good things, the bad things. And I'm going to start us off with the quick little question.
So Mike's
this one
levels
goes out to Cameron. Good. Is popcorn better?
He's actually a little hot or high as far as audio is concerned. So I'm going to bring him down a little bit.
Question, wanted to bring you in with it. We wanted to start talking a little bit more about movie theater culture.
That's more where I want his audio to sit, so
the good things.
Stick with that.
The movie theater popcorn, is it better during or the next day?
Because
and see, Cameron, for whatever reason, so his mic, the area that he needs to actually speak into is over here, and we didn't realize that till after we had recorded. So he's not talking directly into the portion of the mic that's recording his sound. So I have to artificially boost his speech.
Or the next day.
Because
which is fun. And I determined earlier that his audio needs to sit at an increased range of -9 dB. And that was from me editing earlier today. So he just needs to go up +6. That should hopefully.
The movie theater popcorn, is it better during or the next day?
Because you buy the big giant bucket and you fill it up on the way out.
Hey, don't. Give away my secrets, man. It's so hard because.
That's weird. It didn't.
Give away my secrets, man. It's so hard because.
All right, so that is mainly just a laugh for me that isn't really pertinent to what's going on. So I'll cut that audio. Oh shoot! Didn't mean to do that. Cut that audio out.
It's like they're both so good.
They're two different kinds of good to me.
Okay, for me, if I'm being honest, during.
So now I'm just trying to figure out where my audio is and where it's
They're two different
echoing with Cameron's. Because I want to get rid of that nasty echo as much as possible.
They're two different kinds of good to me.
For me, the time I don't eat while I'm watching the movie in a theater.
Really?
That's just me.
All right, so
Like, I know
I'm just
everybody-
fast
I don't
forwarding.
know, I just
It's kind of
don't
boring to watch.
watching movies for some reason.
You're not the guy who gets the big giant meal with the tray and just chows down on nachos the whole meal. Waits for the quiet love scene at the awkward moment.
We're going to get my lovely audio here, edit in with everybody else's, because we know we all want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because we're all so loud, I'll bring me down a little bit for that second.
Yeah.
And I'll also lower them too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wanted to do that in what's that? Go ahead. Awkward pause. Go ahead.
Anyway.
I don't know.
All right, so Chris, if you're still in chat, are you guys doing Iron Banner tonight? And if so, how's it going so far?
I think in the end, though, I'd have to say the next day. I like it a little bit more.
Microphone failure. Yeah.
Actually, I'll be right back. I need to check on the twins. All right. Okay. I'm gonna plug my headphones in. It's gonna be easier to edit this way. Okay, we'll get back to editing now.
Like sip on a drink the rest of the time. I don't eat while I'm watching the movie in a theater.
Really?
But that's just me. Like I know everybody, but I don't know. I just don't prefer to eat while I'm watching the movie for some reason.
You're not the guy who gets the big giant meal with the tray.
There are two different kinds of good to me.
For me, if I'm being honest, during a movie, I tend to eat.
No, not speed. Need to do audio gain.
There are two different kinds of good to me.
For me, if I'm being honest, during a movie, I tend to eat the most.
Alright, so Cameron's
big giant meal with the tray, and just chows down on nachos the whole movie long. Waits for the quiet love scene or the awkward moment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wanted to do that in what's awkward pause. Go ahead.
Anyways.
I don't know which one you're talking about. I think in the end, though, I'd have to say the next day. I like it a little bit.
Microwave popcorn is for sure better the next day.
Have you guys ever snuck in your own popcorn to the movie theater?
I'm not one for that.
It's a little bit harder segment with the audio. That's for sure.
Microwave popcorn is for sure better the next day.
Have you guys ever snuck in your own popcorn to the movie theater?
I'm not one for that. I'd prefer to just have the popcorn, but...
Yeah, because we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Alright, so now, cut that out. Let's go over. Oh yeah, so I need to add in our social media things here. Let's see. Add them like right here. That'll be good. So basically that just adds in our social media icons that'll pop up on the screen, the motion graphics. So I'm using Premiere Pro CC 2017. And Ethan, the reason I'm using Premiere Pro is because for me it provides a smoother experience if I'm like going into After Effects for like motion graphics. Once snuck an 8-pack of Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sure I've snuck food in, just not popcorn. Because to me it's not worth it to try and sneak popcorn in. But yeah, I like the experience that Adobe's giving out. Basically is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so let's skip to this next section of dialogue.
I almost said it's like a charity, but that's like 12.
Oh god, audio is such a nightmare today. I don't know why my audio is so high right now.
have no problem sneaking in soda or snacks, but specifically popcorn. I feel like if you're gonna get popcorn, you should just have it at the theater.
All right, I need to cut my audio right there. Control Z. So, Ethan, have you seen any good movies lately?
Specifically popcorn. I feel like
the changes that I actually really like is that the seats are becoming more and more comfortable.
yes.
Okay, so the theater. One of the changes that I actually really like is that the seats are becoming more and more comfortable.
Yes.
More to serve room.
Say.
I have to get my little yes in there. So delete that.
Yes.
More. The high class, the luxury seat. Comfortable.
Yes.
More versatile.
Yes.
And a lot.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. Dude, I'll tell you what. Who's the main guy in that? Adam Driver. He is really good. He did a TED Talk that I watched about his acting journey coming from the military, like what made him want to go into acting. It was really interesting to watch. It's not very long either. I think it's only like 10 minutes or something.
Or the high class, the luxuries. Eating or the. Yeah, do you guys like those? Or
Yeah.
God, this is so hard because it's very interspersed audio of mine that I'm trying to edit with theirs. And sometimes that's the challenge that you face as an editor, especially with audio and different recordings. So now just scrubbing through to see where I start talking again.
So
I don't know what's going on there with Cameron. That's kind of funny. So screaming. Oh, he's just laughing.
I mean, obviously the
Oh, my audio still is really high.
love seat lends to more cuddling time, but I feel like my wife and
That's an interesting conversation to only hear part of.
I don't really cuddle at the movie theater that much.
Well, okay, now.
We're talking about the love seat comfy chairs at the movie theaters now and whether you utilize them or not.
Okay.
are you cinema athletes where you're on the edge of your seat?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was talking about.
Movie theaters, like the seats, the couple seats, they've got like a bit of a gap between them, and if you try to like scale it out,
All right. So another interesting thing to be aware of too, with especially when you're doing podcasts, is like a lot of times want to throw up clips of movies or things that we're talking about, and a lot of times I just avoid it honestly as an editor. But what we did last time We talked specifically about the Cars 3 trailer and the Pirates Dead Men Tell No Tales trailer. I just did property of whatever company owned or is distributing that, and we haven't gotten any copyright flags so far, and they were fairly short clips anyways. I also didn't monetize that video because I was scared that it would get claimed for copyright. So that's a fun thing to be worried about when you're doing this.
Maybe they do that on purpose or something.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
But I'm excited to get to next week's podcast because it's going to be really good.
I mean,
got to get the good old laughs in there. Oh, Andrew Garfield plays the main character. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. I need to check on the twins yet again because they're doing something. So I will be right back. All right. Man, these twins are driving me a little nuts tonight. Keep taking their clothes off and undoing their diapers. So, that's interesting to say the least. I really wish I could connect to their webcam and post that on the stream. Oh yeah, I think he was like from Indiana or something. I can't remember. He talked about that in his TED Talk. I can't remember. It's really interesting. All the people I do find out are from Indiana that like go into acting or whatever. All right, let's get back to this.
I tend to like something as close to the
Okay. All right.
Oh boy, I'm so low, man.
I
Yeah, I've really liked Adam Driver. I also really liked him in what was it? That Undercover Boss parody that they did on SNL. That was so funny of him as Kylo Ren. Like really, really funny.
I don't like Adam Driver.
Never always the way that it's carried from typically. So.
Right, now you have no idea what we're saying. Well, that's fine, because I don't either. So now, yeah, I'm just scrubbing through. Guess I'll include my Guess it's a good thing to include, because there's no other real audio there either, so it's not taking away. Going so fast now.
Some people have to be in the middle.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ethan.
I said that I was talking about like my
So I heard there's some new Breath of the Wild glitch where you can like drop the sword or something. I have to look it up on Google News or something, because I saw it today. So I was going through.
That my wife and I actually got luxury seats for that movie, and that was probably the best part. So
this is all mainly Cameron talking.
You talk about people talking during a movie, how in the back you see their cell phones, and I mean that's typically not a big deal these days because most people, even though they do have it, they're pretty.
Okay, so now we're talking about people in movies with cell phones. That's lovely. That's where my special L comment should have gone. So to answer your question, to edit a segment, if I haven't synced the audio, well, okay, let's just say to edit a segment, it'll take me about 20 to 30 minutes. To edit the whole podcast, it takes me like an hour and a half, typically, but it depends too, because like this format is taking me longer simply because I explained earlier, I've got a lapel mic that typically we would have these three mics you can see here I'm pointing to in the viewer window that are recording us. This mic was turned off because it was too sensitive and was interfering with the audio. So I had to wear a lapel mic this time, and that's why I'm having to go through more meticulously. Because typically what I do is I just scrub through the audio and I just make sure that the levels are okay, that they're averaging around, -12, -10 over here, highest at -6, because YouTube's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, this one's taking me longer just because I have to go through and literally cut out anything that's not my audio, and that takes a lot longer because I'm having to actually listen to the whole podcast. Typically, I don't listen to the whole podcast. I mean, I'll scrub through it just to make sure there's no video errors or glaring audio errors. But, yeah, that's to answer your question. That's about how long it takes, is probably however long the segment is or the final podcast.
Road out to themselves. Yeah.
Hello. And see, it's easier for me to edit a podcast episode than it is for me to like edit a different project that I'm doing too, because this has a very straightforward format for me because it's me doing the same thing every time, just different content. Whereas if it's a project, it's dependent upon the project, and it's typically individual towards what it takes to do.
Do you guys prefer that kind of dollars, actual exercise, as though you're watching a spectator sport?
Go ahead.
All right, so need this. Go ahead. Need to check
You prefer the quiet cinematic experience where you are just totally enveloped in the film and there's no one else?
Go ahead.
What do you mean by audio scrambles? Oh, you mean just like me scrubbing through the footage? So I decide. So if I have both the lapel mic. Well, I'm hearing. So if I have, in this situation where I have these two mics recorded on separate audio from this lapel mic, if all that audio is playing together, it sounds really weird and kind of echoey, like this. Like here, I'll show you an example.
For me, this is something that I'm probably gonna be. I'm probably gonna differ from you guys. I personally really hate it when I'm watching a movie
Versus
and there's any noise or.
this, for instance.
So for me, this
It
is
sounds
something
more
that,
like a studio recording.
I'm probably gonna differ from you guys.
It's a little bit softer because it's not combining with the other
when I'm
audio,
watching a movie.
but it's a lot higher quality. So for this particular episode or segment, I'm deciding to cut this lower audio only whenever I speak, because if this audio is on at any other time, it makes Cameron and Mike's audio sound awful. So that's what motivates those particular cuts.
I've grown to like the back more because there's nobody behind you to talk, to hear behind you. All you have to worry about now are the people to your sides. You don't really ever hear people in front
And
of
you
you.
never. That's what I love about movie theaters too. The way that it's tiered, you never worry about the people in front of you typically. So.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what motivates that particular cut for this type of situation. Right now, I'm just scrubbing through because I know that I'm not talking, so I don't need to really.
Yes.
All right. So here I start speaking again. So then I'm gonna insert a cut, and then I stop talking. Insert another cut.
I prefer to podcast.
And another thing that helps me know where to cut is also seeing these audio peaks, because that's typically where I'm speaking, so that helps as well. So just go to where approximately the start of my audio is, and then the ending portion of my audio. So like that is easy because it's just one word. You can delete that. And then here, start talking again. Insert cut.
Do you prefer?
So then cut that out.
Maybe I should talk about what we've actually done together.
Context.
Do you prefer?
And then here, we'll cut some coming in.
Depends on the movie, but midnight premiere.
And then there. So now we're talking about whether we still like midnight premieres or not. I don't even know how we got onto this topic of discussion, but
Really, Cameron?
Yeah, midnight premiere.
Well,
some interjecting comment. And then I question him, like, we're talking about the old midnight premieres, or are we talking like back in the day, or now where you can go at 8 o'clock and it's still technically a midnight premiere?
during the day, so I'm completely
Well,
awake.
now, yeah, I would say matinee. But if we're talking about, are we talking about an actual physical midnight premiere, or are we talking about midnight premiere mentality?
So then I clarify.
Midnight premiere. That's at 8 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is that still?
Yeah, me too. It's like once Harry Potter was done, I was done with midnight premieres. That was it for me. I remember Ashley and I tried to go to a midnight premiere and it just didn't work out.
I guess the 8 o'clock.
Not anymore. I wouldn't.
Or would you? Yeah, you would rather
okay,
prefer
so-
go the next day
You guys
for
are old.
showing at 10 o'clock.
I know. but my addendum to that is I like the energy. That to me enhances that movie going experience.
I want to add.
The other problem with that mic too is that I'm what's called peaking, and it's reaching the microphone's max audio input, and so, or clipping, sorry, it's not peaking, it's called clipping, so it can't, the sound becomes distorted because it's so loud, and you can hear that if you listen carefully.
Screen like raises, and you see the characters on screen.
When I say characters, it clips
And you see the characters on.
or peaks.
Add an asterisk to my.
Oh, thanks, Shibao, for the follow. Appreciate it, man. Hope you enjoy the stream. All right, so yeah. So, anyways, I got another.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I missed some audio back here. It's so hard because that mic placement,
Okay.
Because
it would just, yeah. It's hard to know because we couldn't really test it beforehand.
I feel like midnight.
But now that I know that it clips really easily, it'll help me to know where to place it on my body when we use it next time. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the most favorite thing that I say is yep.
Last thing about that has been frozen or yeah, so trying to
It's a little fourth wall break, but we don't really care. It's just not really pertinent to the podcast. I mean, we don't care about fourth wall breaks because we're talking to our viewers, but Mike was talking to Sam for something. I don't even remember what.
Yeah, that's what it was. So means it wasn't The Hobbit. It was probably Frozen or Thor.
We got tickets to
Yeah, that's what it was. So we were trying to go see Thor. Somebody took our seat.
Yeah, typically, so Mike's the middle guy. Typically, his wife is there when we record, so she can provide any info that he needs last minute that he can't actively look up on his computer. Plus, he was talking about a personal story with them and their personal experience.
Okay,
let's
Late
Don't do
Larry
that.
H. Miller, the
Don't.
Megaplex.
All right, so yeah, really, right now, all I'm doing is editing my audio. I'm not really worrying about Cameron and Mike's.
Miller, the
Don't.
Megaplex. Light the way. It's
That's
impossible
true.
to find
Yeah.
where you're supposed. It's
That's
impossible
true.
to find
Yeah.
where you're supposed
All right, so deleting that. We're almost
to
done.
turn. All right, and with that note, put in the lights, and that ends this segment of the podcast. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you next time.
See it.
Bye.
And that's a good place to end. So obviously, the motivation for that cut is simply just the video ends. All right. So now you get to see what I do for segments. So I just learned the other day YouTube stopped doing what's called annotations. And it used to be that you would, let's see if I can show you. It used to be that you would play video, like video, you would have these video cards. Let's go into the effects mode. So you'd have these video cards that would play, and then you would overlay through YouTube active box links. So when you scrolled over these, it would come up with a link and you could go to the new video, but they don't do that anymore. They just barely stopped doing that. So they do this new thing where it's just a static thumbnail of whatever video you want to put. So now what we have to do, instead of doing it that way, which seems much higher quality, is we just leave it blank, and then I add in the squares through YouTube later. But yeah, so just to suggest to people like, hey, check out this video. This other video would seem cool for you, or this is another segment that we did on Star Wars or something like that. So now I got to add all this stuff into the last segment, which shouldn't be too bad. It's simply just copy and paste. So you just have to copy the music and the graphics. So let's go to the end, and we will paste that so that when it ends, and let's do, let's move it over. We can do this at a 4th resolution. Oh yeah, I muted that. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so that's added on to the end of the video. So now what I need to do is I need to go through and check that audio all over again. But I won't do that right now. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Okay, so I added in those. Okay, so I actually need to color correct this, and this is really cool. So all this footage was shot at the same time, same lighting and everything. It's just cut up into different segments on the camera. So what's cool is I can go to the original video source that I already color corrected. I can just do Control C or Command C on a Mac. And let's see, let's go back here. And then I can Control Alt V or paste, or Control Option or Command Option paste. I think it is on a Mac, and it'll apply any effects or difference, like if you rescaled the video to be smaller or bigger, or you did motion with it, or opacity, anything. Like you can apply similar settings to another video. Using that command. So it's really cool because then I don't have to go through and recolor correct manually. I can just apply that setting and then just check it and make sure. So we'll apply, and still kind of grainy. Let me see, and it looks a little green and overexposed actually. Well, it's hard to say because it's not the full quality. So this is a scope. God, I can't remember what the name of it is. That shows you color. Essentially, it's displaying this color on a scale from 0 is completely black to 100 is completely white overexposed. And so this shows you the range of color and saturation and everything here in this image. And so I actually, let's see if I can go in here, can select the white balance. That makes it green. That's not what I want. That's also not what I want. I'll just stick with what I had originally done because I just don't want to mess with this right now. But my guess is a lot of the shadows are holding color information and they're not coming out. Oh no, they are. Anyways, color correction is an art form, and it's very. You have to have a lot of training and skill to be able to do it. And all I do is very basic correction. And then color grading is. So, color correction is taking the image from the camera and making it true to what you see in real life as close as possible. And because everybody's eyes are different, this graph over here helps me to make sure that it's true. And then there's also these wheels, these color wheels here that help with that as well. And then color grading is basically like if you think of the movie 300, it's all sepia toned. It's a style of color. Or trying to think of another movie that has has heavy color grading. So like Pan's Labyrinth has heavy like blues and greens. What else? But it's very stylistic. Or even Wes Anderson's films are very like autumn, fall colors typically. So like there's a lot of color grading that goes into film or even television shows that's basically creative adjustments to making the film look a certain way. But I do very simple color correction to make it more look like true to real life. But yeah. So we're actually testing out some new LED bulbs in this setup, and it's interesting because I'm noticing that there's a lot of noise grain that you can see here, which we shouldn't be getting, and we're shooting with a Canon 7D. Jason Bateman. I don't think I know which movie you're talking about, Ethan. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The most popular reference that I use is 300, just because it's a lot of people know what we're talking about if you're trying to explain simply to somebody what color grading is. Yeah. So yeah, so now that I've added those things, I need to go back through and do the audio, which I'm actually not going to do right now. Just because it's going to take some time and it's not as enjoyable to watch. But what I can do, well, actually I should just do it. So now we just need to go back to the beginning. It's going to be a little tedious, but that's okay. So now we need to go back to our editing layout and look at it this way.
Bad things, and I'm going to start.
And actually, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be back in 5. I'm just going to grab a snack and check on the twins to make sure they're okay. So I will be back in like 5 minutes, maybe less. So I'll be right back.
Don't you come down. Set me free. Let's forget
All right.
our fears.
Let's pause that music. Okay, so we're back. Got some lemonade and the twins are fine, so that's good. All right. What were we doing? Yeah, we're going through the audio. But I was going to say something. Oh, this is what I was going to say. So in case anybody wants to check out the latest episode, there it is in the chat for you. That's the latest segment that we did. What does, Ethan? Send it to me in text, because I've got a thing that automatically deletes links. Let me see if I can turn that off. Spam protection. Disable. Disable. Okay, try it now. You can try resending the link. Yeah, but see, your link won't show up in chat if the Nightbot deletes it. So I can't visit that link unless I can see. You'll have to send it to me either through text or through... Oh, never mind, I think you just did. Come on. Alright, let's see what this video is. Oh yeah, it's heavily sepia toned. So that is a good example of color grading.
Hi, I'm Untitled Chapter. What's your name? Spin it around. What was your winning word? What was the word you spoke to win your regional? To get here. You don't point that curry hole that way and sit your ass down in that seat until it...
So what about you irritates? What about it irritates you? Or was it just the chat that... Or was it the chat deleting your thing? That irritates you? Or was it just the chat that... So I control the Nightbot. I made it so that you could post links again if you want. So anyways. Yeah, that so yeah, that is a good example of heavy sepia tone.
Is popcorn better in the theater or the next day?
So movie theater popcorn, is it better during or the next day?
Because you buy the
That's so
big giant bucket and you fill it up on the way out.
Hey, don't give away my secrets, man. It's so hard because it's like they're both so good.
They're two different kinds of good to me.
Okay, For me, if I'm being honest, during a movie,
So this is
I
hard just
tend to eat the
because.
most before the movie even starts. Once the movie starts, I put the popcorn down on like under my seat, and I just like sip on a drink the rest of the time. I don't eat while I'm watching the movie in a theater.
Really?
But that's just me. Like I know everybody.
So I'm gonna boost his audio here because it gets really low. I usually like to go in increments of 3 too. It's just a thing that I've developed. It's not a written rule or anything.
I tend to eat the most before the movie even starts
Okay.
for some reason.
You're not the guy who gets the big giant meal with the tray and just chows down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wanted to do that in.
So Mike's audio
what's that
sounds
movie?
good.
The Happily Ever After one about Hollywood. Awkward pause. Go ahead.
Anyways,
I don't know which one. I think in the end though, I'd have to say.
Okay.
I think in the end though, I'd have to say the next day. I
Popcorn to the movie theater.
like how movie theaters tend.
Let's cap it here and then audio gain plus 6.
Oh, I'd have to say the next day.
I'm not one for that.
Earlier off air, like how their main source of income. I almost
see,
said
I
it's
have-
like a charity, but that's like
I
totally
have
wrong.
no problem sneaking in.
I love how we talk about that. Ethan, it must be Twitch's chatbot that's doing it. So I don't even think I can post it. That's so weird. Maybe I can, I don't know. Because I'm the channel hoster. Let's see. Bad Words trailer. YouTube. See. Where's the chat? Chat. There you go. So what I'll do, Ethan, is I can make you a moderator. Let's see. Mod. What's the command, Chris, for modding? Ban, unban, followers off, subscribers clear. Channel editor and broadcaster commands host. So /mod username. Okay. So it's /mod. So let me bring up the chat. /mod EC Roth 7. There we go. So now you're officially a moderator, Ethan. Hooray. So you can post links if you want. Yay. Okay. So getting back to the task at hand. And I am going to add a background to this. Because I think it needs one. There we go. Noise! We have commands too, so that's a nice command that we can do. It's just a quote. If you do exclamation point title, it'll tell you the title of the stream, or exclamation point game, it'll tell you what game I'm playing or what category I'm streaming. when anybody can do that in the stream. It's a lot of fun.
Like a charity, but that's like
I
totally
have
wrong.
no problem sneaking in.
I
But
almost
see,
said
I have
it's like a charity, but that's like
I
totally
have
wrong.
no problem sneaking in soda or
Know that you're admitting to your criminal activity.
Hey.
It's good to know that you're admitting to your criminal activity.
Hey, I've worked at a
On the
movie
air.
theater and I understand. I don't do it all the time.
I mean, okay, so the theater industry is changing. One of the changes that I actually really like is that the seats are.
All right, so we already established that this audio is fine.
Obviously,
Okay, now we're getting into the nitty gritty here.
okay.
Gap between them, and then if you try to like squeeze into that gap, as
See,
I
I'm
could,
still that way. I'm still a
But-
middleman.
I've grown to like.
We're talking about seat placement in theaters.
Plus, the back row tends to have a bit.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. I should add that. Oh. Where? Nightbot. Let's see. Commands, custom. Add command. Orphan Annie. Shoot. Okay, so now in the chat, if you type in ! Orphan Annie, it should do that. ! Orphan Annie. Yeah. Sup, sign? Alright, well, that was fun, adding those little commands.
Between you and the seat in front of you, depending on the theater. So yeah, there's your pros and cons.
I'm still an exact middleman. I have.
was talking about how like my aid that I regretted most was Pete's Dragon, the live action one. That
Man, Cameron's audio is like really suffering.
you. All you have to worry about now are the people to your sides. You don't really ever hear people in front
And
of
you
you
never. I'm still a
But-
middleman.
as I could. As
See,
I
I'm
could.
still that way.
Like I used to really like being as close to the middle.
It's like right about there that we need to up it. Let's see, audio gain +3.
I'm
Good.
still that way. I'm still a
But-
middleman.
Here behind you. All you have to worry about now are the people to your sides. You don't really ever hear people in front
And
of
you.
you. Have a bit of extra gap between you and the luxury seats for that movie, and that was probably the best part of the movie.
Alright, and then he starts talking a little bit low again here.
You know, it makes me.
So let's bump that up.
So I mean, it's nice. I don't really fall asleep in movies, but I could see somebody easily falling asleep in those seats.
You know, it makes me think. You
need to
talk about
change the
people talking
timers
during a
too.
movie. How in the back row you don't really have to worry
Because
about it.
it'll
You do see their
automatically
cell
post
phones,
things like, check out
and,
my
I mean,
podcast.
that's typically
or
not a big deal these days because most people,
support
even though
the
they do have it,
pod
they're
on
pretty
Patreon or
either
whatever.
respectful or they're quick about it. But one thing that I think about is high school student conglomeration,
Themselves. Yeah.
college students out and about, and they tend to be a little more rowdy.
Alright, so Mike's audio needs to come up still a little bit. Audio +3.
They tend to be a little more rowdy.
There we go.
So for me, this is something that I'm probably gonna be mad if that happened, because in my opinion, I go to the theater and I like it to be kind of similar to
plus 6. I don't know about studies, but the FCC that regulates TV and radio, they came out with a set of broadcasting standards, and speech has to be between -18 and peaking as high as -10, which means that it has to average around like -16 to -12. And then other sounds like effects, explosions can peak as high as -6, but all sound generally needs to average around -10 to -12. And it's interesting because there's algorithms that, like when I worked at BYU TV, there's programs that run algorithms that essentially calculate all the audio peaks and what their averages are within a set program. So that's a great question. But that's what I typically try to match, are those standards, because that seems to come out on YouTube the best, and that's how I gauge it. Because when I worked there too, I also realized that they weren't changing any of the video or audio settings when they were uploading their videos to YouTube. At least to my understanding, they weren't. So as far as levels go, so I just used that same thing, and I thought their audio on their YouTube video sounded good. It worked out. Yeah, I need to change the timers to be longer. So they're not spamming the chat with support the pod. Check out the latest episode. Yay.
And you should avoid Snapchat story checks during the movie.
Yes.
Facebook live streaming during the movie
Yeah.
as well.
No podcasting either.
I prefer to podcast during the movie. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can go to like the little quiet room that they have at least at the.
So yeah, I'm just watching for those levels. And I'm reaching a point now where it's getting a little tedious. So I think I'll save it, and then yeah, I think I'm actually. So what's next for Film Files? I don't know. That's a good question. I think we would really like to find a good location where where we could record. I mean, it's convenient right now at Mike's apartment. I don't know, the lighting situation, we need to figure that out. And then also we want to be able to have more guests on, so having 4 of us I think would be a lot of fun. And maybe even for those kinds of podcast episodes, we do like a multicam setup with GoPros. I think that would be a lot of fun. Just takes longer to edit those particular shows, because we did that the very first time we ever podcasted. We had one main cam that was really nice, and then 3 or 4 GoPros that were running all simultaneously, and that can get really complicated in editing really fast. But anyways, it's still fun to do. Still fun format. We also want to do try a live show again, because we tried that with Rings and didn't really work out that well, because I muted the audio accidentally for the first half of the podcast. So it would be good to try that again, I think. But yeah, we definitely want to go to more movies, and we definitely have our sights set high, and are constantly like researching and talking about things that are going on in the film industry. And it's not even entertainment news that we're talking about. It's more of just like how movies are made, how TV shows are made, like, and the common discussions that people are having, that we can kind of add our insight or knowledge base to. So just having good conversations, really. That's a great question. But hopefully that answers your question. Well, I think I personally am going to call it for this stream. I might play some Destiny or something, and I don't think I'll be streaming because I know Ashley has to work. But thanks for everybody who watched, Ethan and Chris and everybody else. So hopefully we'll do this again so more people can join in on and understand how I stream. Yeah, that's what we did last time. So it's hard too when you're using multiple cameras and they're all different image sensors too, because you deal with lighting issues like nobody's business. So I'm not saying we can't do a shoot like that. I think we should do a shoot like that because it'll give us some good experience. But that'll be interesting for sure. But anyways, well, I'm going to take off. Thanks everybody who watched. I stream somewhat regularly throughout the week, whether it's video games or stuff like this. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.